Greetings. My name is Eric McAnallen, and it has been my pleasure to be the director of RACT Theater Productions' inaugural virtual performance. Like most live theater in 2020, our curtain has remained down, our audience has remained silent, and our doors have remained closed. But that doesn't sit right with us, and it goes against our core values to keep the arts alive in Beaver County. So, we adapted. We took our show on the road, so to speak, with a virtual production. The entire production, everything you are about to see, took place in virtual space. Auditions were held online, rehearsals were done via video conference, production notes were exchanged with email, and the performances were captured while the actors sat miles apart in front of their own computers. Tonight's performance may take its cues from 1950s radio shows, right down to the ads from the sponsors, but it's a brand new performance style for a brand new age. It's not perfect, and we are far from being a professional movie or TV studio, but that's what gives it a certain charm. And above all, we hope that our performance can brighten your day, bring a little bit of light to the darkness that has been 2020, to the glow of your computer screens.
Do you have a little unsolved murder in your home? Got some blackmail you want to unload? Are you the victim of some vulgar extortionist? I know a girl you should meet. She may not be the greatest private eye in the world, and so what if it does cost you $300 or $400? She sure is sweet. She's Candy Matson. Like to meet her?
Yukon 28209.
Candy Matson?
Well, I wasn't sure when I looked in the mirror this morning.
Had a rough night, eh?
Oh, there have been rougher ones. Look, voice, before you get caught with my receiver down, who are you and what do you want?
As to who I am, you'll find out very shortly. What I want is you.
How romantic. And over the phone yet.
Let me finish. What I want is you to lay off the cable car business.
Oh, that. Well, I'm afraid I can't. You see, I was sitting beside the man when they discovered his transfer had been punched. Sort of permanently.
RACT Theater Productions presents Candy Matson in the case of the cable car murder.
That's how things happen with me. I get into the craziest routines. You see, I used to be a model. I'd been told I had the proper displacement for such a career, if not the proper attitude. But I found there wasn't enough money in it, and a girl has to eat, doesn't she? And she has to maintain a nice apartment on Telegraph Hill and buy enough clothes to highlight that displacement I mentioned, right? Sure. So I turn private eye. You meet a better class of people, mostly named Rigger or Mortis. Take this cable car deal, for instance. Like to hear how the whole thing happened? Well, let's get started then.
Imagine, if you will, a busy San Franciscan street early in the morning. The hustle and bustle of the day has just begun. Car horns blare, people scurry about on their way, and off in the distance, the cable car bells chime.
I wanted to get downtown that morning, but I couldn't take the F-car on Stockton. They were ripping up about 87 blocks, which is par for the course. So I walked down Telegraph Hill and up to Mason. That's where the Bay and Powell cable car stops.
All aboard! Come on! Come on! We gotta make it to Fairmont by quitting time.
The car was loaded, and so was the character next to me. I tried to budge into the seat between him and a fisherman's wharf dowager, but I couldn't quite make it. I'd forgotten my shoehorn. Say, pardon me, but would you mind reading your Wall Street Journal over that way a bit? I'd like to sit in here.
Here? You want to sit here?
If it's not too much trouble.
Huh? If you insist.
A knight of old. He budged his hips about 1/4 of an inch, and I slipped in, ready for my rocket ride over the hill and down into town. The trip, as usual, was uneventful. 3 smashed fenders and several choice words I'd never heard before, but I wrote them down. Since we were so close, almost bosom buddies, I couldn't help but read my new best friend's paper. The headline was the talk of the town. South Seas island ship loses cargo to fire. Looks like they can't catch a break.
Pardon?
The South Seas Island line.
You don't know the half of it, sister.
With that, he turned away in a huff and buried his face in the paper. And off we continued, bouncing on down what in San Francisco passed for a small hill, but had most likely been conquered by Sir Edmund Hillary. By the time our prairie schooner reached the turntable at Market Street, the crowd on the car had thinned out. But Buster was still beside me, his head buried in common and preferred.
Market Street!
I started to get down.
Hey, lady, take your boyfriend with you. We're heading back up that hill.
Boyfriend? I don't think so.
Well, how do you like that? He fell asleep over his stocks and bonds.
I looked again. Tipsy wasn't asleep. Tipsy was stone cold dead on Market Street. What a twist. I, who always went on the prowl for a whodunit, got one tossed in my lap. Literally. You see, he hadn't just gone out of this world serene like. Oh no. There was a steady slurp of blood trickling down his vest just north by northeast of the equator. After half an hour wait full of questioning by homicide legmen, I knew my morning shopping tour was rained out. And after all, I was only going to buy an emerald clip to match the glint in my eye. Well, that would have to wait. I knew the next step. I grabbed a cab home. I wasn't long in waiting.
Later that day at Candy's place, there's a buzz at her door.
Right on cue. And if it was the right cue, it would be Lieutenant Ray Mallard from headquarters, daintily pressing his cuticles against my apartment buzzer. I was right.
Right about what?
I've been expecting you, Mallard. Come on in. Sit down. Take off your hat.
It is off.
Have a drink?
No. I'm not in the mood. Just make it a double. Candy, for once I'm puzzled.
You're just saying that.
Yeah, because it's true. I've checked and I've rechecked, and no matter how many loose ends I tie together, I still get no connection between you and Dwight Ellsworth.
Dwight, who's worth?
Ellsworth, your extremely limp traveling companion on the cable car this morning?
Mallard, I can give you an angle on that.
Yeah?
Yeah, the angle being, I didn't know him from Euclid.
Level?
Straight. Look, sweetheart, this mediocre dialogue is getting us nowhere. What did you haul your size 11s in here for?
Oh, frankly, I don't know. Here, fill this up, will you?
Well, you're not just going around in circles, Mallard. You're going around in doubles.
Yeah. Like I said before, Candy, you've got a pretty view from here.
Oh? Wait, I'll turn around.
What? I mean from your window. Just look at that ship down there, just docking.
Where?
Just down there. It's probably arriving from the Far East. Now that is romance for you.
Here's your drink.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
You know, it is sort of romantic. Don't you think it would be fun to jump on a tramp like that and whisk off to the South Seas? On a honeymoon?
No.
That's what I thought. South Seas? Mallard!
Do you have to call me Mallard?
Why not? We're just playing for ducks, aren't we?
Oh, very crisp. Playing for ducks. No, Candy, we aren't. Not in this case. We've got a dead man on our hands. Rudy Toot Toot shot right through the heart. And you were sitting next to him.
Sure. All right, go on now. Get out of here.
What?
You heard me. Lift your hindquarters and get back to headquarters.
Candy, I don't like that look. You've got something on your mind.
Yeah, but you wouldn't recognize it if I told you about it.
One word of warning. Don't dabble. You're in deep enough. Got it?
Got it. Here's your hat. Grab it. So long, Mallard. See you around the jailhouse sometime.
With Mallard gone, it was time for Candy to get to work.
Fie-fo-fum. 'Twas then I smelled a big fat feed. That great big, kinda attractive Mallard missed the boat. Oh, he saw it, but he missed it. It was that ship he saw docking. That was the first time I came out of the dark since my giant dipper of a ride down the hill that morning. I needed help, so I called an old friend of mine, if you can call that help. Rembrandt Watson was his name. He was a photographer and other things. He spent most of his life in the darkroom dabbling with bottles. His negatives and prints were sharp. His thought processes, not quite, but he'd given me assistance in the past, so I called him.
Rembrandt Watson speaking. Photography, portraits, and camera work.
Yes, Rembrandt, I know.
Also available for gardening, janitorial services, and babysitting.
Rembrandt, it's Candy.
Especially if they're over 21. Wait, who? Candy?
Now you're tuned in.
How dare you bother me? I was experimenting with a new type of formula.
90 proof or 100?
100. And Candy, it works beautifully. There's a delightful little pixie with a pink ballet skirt in my living room.
Well, leave her there and get over here immediately to my place. Take a cab. I'll pay for it.
I would much rather have a handsome carriage with a brace of chestnuts.
You got those in your head. Now just do as I say and get over here.
Sometime later, there's Rembrandt's usual knock, shave and a haircut, at Candy's door.
Float in, Rembrandt.
Gladly. Where's the man to take my cloak, gloves, and topper?
You're wearing a sport coat and slacks, and you know I have no man.
That makes two of us. And therein lies your basic trouble, my dear. You have no man.
Now, Rembrandt.
Every woman should have a man, and every man have a, well, you know. It's the incontrovertible law of the universe. Candy, you should have a man.
You?
You wish. No, Candy, I am no longer a man. I am a sprite, transcending the world.
Well, stop transcending a moment and come down to earth. We've got a job to do.
Oh, how poetic. How idyllic. We've got a job to do, huh? For money?
Eventually.
Oh, one of those. Very well, my dear. Bring me up to date.
Well, I don't really know if I can or not.
Good. Then I shall leave and return to my formula.
No. What I mean is the whole story is so fantastic, you'd never believe it.
I might. Try me, Candy.
Well, I get on a cable car and sit next to a character reading the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, a strange coupling indeed. A cable car in the Wall Street Journal. That is fantastic.
Yeah. And we get to the end of the line. My friend next to me is dead.
Probably the ride down the hill killed him.
He looked like a used punch board. A neat little bullet hole through his heart.
Candy, my little ballerina friend in the pink skirt is more believable than what you just told me.
I told you it was fantastic, but not how it happened. Now, sooner or later, Mallard is going to come out of his fog, and when he does, I am going to be out of a fee.
A fee that so far doesn't exist, my pretty.
It will, if my hunch is right. Now, here is what I want you to do. Go down to the Chronicle and get all the back files you can on South Seas Island Steamship Company.
The Chronicle? Pleasure. I have a few questionable companions there who indulge in formula.
Stay away from those companions and just do as I ask.
Very well, my dove. I go, but entirely against my will. And where will you be?
Down on the docks, Rembrandt. I've got to do some legwork.
Oh, well, let me assure you, Candy, you have just the right equipment for it, too.
We take you now to the rough side of town, the wharf, where Candy stands out like a neon bulb in a darkened theater. Cargo ships come and go, a steamship horn sounds in the distance, and the sounds of rough men letting off steam of their own comes from a nearby tavern, Candy's destination.
What a joint. I bet they mount slit fish gullets on the walls instead of deer heads. Well, come on, Candy. Get your tools out and screw up your courage.
Yeah, miss? What'll it be?
Nothing right at the moment except information.
Well, information and water are both free. What do you want to know?
I'm looking for the purser off the Dwightsonius. I hear he does his shore duty in here.
That's right. Named Campbell. That head on the table over there belongs to him.
Thanks. Hello, sailor. Hey, Campbell, wake up.
Leave me alone.
Come on, snap out of it.
Who are you?
My name is Candy Matson. I want to ask you a question.
I'm only drinking. Go away.
Not until I find out what I want to know. Dwight Ellsworth was murdered this morning.
What?
I thought that would bring you around.
That's the nicest news I've heard since VJ Day. What do you want to know?
Where does his brother live?
That stooge? He's got about as much spine as an eel.
Never mind. I want to find him. Seems to keep his whereabouts as secret as an atomic stockpile.
He lives out in Seacliff, 25 Dashel Road. Ask me, the whole family ought to be knocked off.
Bartender, buy my friend a little reward and one for yourself, too.
Candy Matson will return after these messages from our sponsors.
This virtual performance is brought to you by RACT Theater Productions, a community theater group located in the hub of Beaver County. For 28 years, RACT has provided live entertainment on stages throughout Beaver County. From dramas to comedies to mysteries, we've done it all. Or at least, that's what we thought. Tonight, we are offering you a first for RACT, a virtual performance completely rehearsed, performed, and premiered online. We are doing this to continue to further our mission of keeping the arts alive in Beaver County. Even with the challenges presented by COVID, we are excited for our upcoming 2021 season and our new home, the Seagrift Stage in Rochester, PA. We look forward to providing our patrons with more virtual theater in the coming months, and we especially look forward to a time when we can return to the stage. To donate to our Raise the Curtain campaign or to find ways you can help keep theater alive in these challenging times, check us out at ractproductions.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Christmas is right around the corner, and there's no better place to shop than Art by Tyree Patrick. Need a swell gift for the Scroogiest Scrooge on your shopping list? Scientific studies have shown that daily exposure to art by Tyree softens even the grumpiest old men. Disgruntled teenagers in the family? Put one of Tyree's world-famous celebrity portraits in their stocking and bask in the glow of their starstruck smile. Art by Tyree Patrick, 805 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, Pennsylvania. Stop in and see us or give us a call at 724-384-8070.
Accessible at the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty print me, pack me, ship me. It's our faithful UPS store. The most daring and resourceful parcel and printing service in the Beaver Valley. The UPS store continues to provide the best online and hard copy document delivery in the West. Western PA, that is. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From 204 Gulfview Drive comes the sure delivery of the UPS truck.
It seems like just yesterday I was fighting the summer heat and watching the ranch hands driving steer through this town, and already they's decorating the streets for the holidays. And here I am needing some holiday brochures and posters for the Circle K Ranch, and I want to get my family letter printed, and oh, I've got a cute little design for a Christmas card I want to get printed up, but time is running out.
No need to say oops, ma'am. Just say oops. The UPS store at the Beaver Valley Mall. Just call them and they'll do all your printing, packing, and shipping. You can even send all your files online.
That'll give me more time to spend with my favorite ranch hand. Thank you, Masked Man.
My pleasure, ma'am.
Who was that Masked Man?
The UPS store rides again. 724-774-4942. Hi-ho, UPS, and away!
Later that day in Seacliff, Candy found herself outside the Ellsworth residence in a very dense fog, figuratively and literally.
Well, so far so good. Oh, how did I know about Campbell the Purser? Well, I have quite a few friends in town, most of a type my Mallard doesn't approve. So, after leaving that little watering hole, I grabbed a cab and navigated the driver out towards Seacliff. It was so foggy I couldn't see the meter, but I paid him anyway and dismissed him. There it was, 25 Dashel Road, an austere-looking cabana, one that dared you to ring the front doorbell. I dared. I had the awful feeling I should have been around at the side door delivering hand laundry.
Good evening.
Except for the fog, yes. Is Roger Ellsworth in?
Yes, my husband is here, but I'm afraid this is not a good time. There has been a death in the family.
I know. That's why I'm here.
Oh? I see. Very well, come in.
Thank you.
Walk this way, please.
Oh, I'm afraid I couldn't, even if I lived to be 100.
Mind your tongue, young lady. You are in the house of an Ellsworth.
Oh, hoity-toity. The old babe had delusions of grandeur. Well, no need to get uppity with me. I've mingled with royalty. Why, once I had 3 kings in the palm of my hand at the Silver Dollar in Reno. But this old gal was really something. She couldn't have been more than 45, yet looked like something out of the Baroness of Wimpole Street. She ushered me into a high-ceilinged living room, and there on the divan was my boy, his head lowered into his hands and quite obviously touched. Quite obviously.
Roger, this young lady is here to see you. I don't believe you mentioned your name.
Candy Matson.
Matson, are you in shipping too?
Of a sort.
You'll pardon me if I don't seem hospitable, Miss Matson, but my brother was murdered.
I know. I was sitting next to him when it happened.
You were?
Yes. Mr. Ellsworth, I don't want to take up much of your time, so I'll come right to the point. You see, I'm a private detective.
Oh, one of those persons.
Put your nose back down, Mrs. Ellsworth. Let me make my proposition. Yes, I'm a private detective, and I'm in a spot too. The police think I'm connected to the case in some way, so I'm here for a double purpose.
I'm listening, Miss Matson.
Roger, I don't think you should be speaking with this woman.
Too late, Mrs. Ellsworth.
What can it hurt, Valerie? Go on, Miss Matson.
Now, I can find out who killed your brother, but it'll take some money. Give me a check now for $300 and I'll find the murderer. And I'll also clear myself.
Well, I don't know.
Naturally, you want to see the killer of your brother brought to justice, don't you, Mr. Ellsworth?
Roger!
Don't you?
Yes, of course. I'll make a check out right now.
Thanks. Just make it out to Candy Matson, payable today. A lovely collection of guns you have there, Mr. Ellsworth. You hunt much?
Oh, yes. My whole family is quite fond of shooting. Valerie and I go down to the range at least once a week. There you are.
Thank you. I'll be in touch with you sometime tomorrow. The missus didn't say another word. She just stood there against the fireplace and shot sparks through me. After I waved the check in the air a few times to dry the ink, she showed me to the door.
Very clever, aren't you? Taking advantage of a weak-willed man.
I wonder who made him that way.
Don't cash that check. I mean it. Don't cash that check.
Mrs. Ellsworth, $300? I need the money. Badly. I need some new rolls for my player piano.
With her fee in hand, Candy headed back downtown. There was a murder to solve, after all, and a check to cash. She wanted to cash it in a hurry and knew of only one person who could give her the crisp green at that hour of night. Uncle Charlie, the honest miller who ran the chase room.
Uncle Charlie, in the strict sense of the word, was a gentleman. So with a tender little pat on my cheek, he cashed the check and I went up to Telegraph Hill and home. All of a sudden, my eyes did a couple of inverted loops. Oh, my lights were on. Okay, who's here? All right, speak up.
No, Candy, light of my life, come join our party.
Oh, Rembrandt, you gave me a scare.
You don't scare easy either, Candy. Got something on your mind?
And Mallard. How ducky, a midnight soiree. What goes on here?
Well, the chicken you had in the icebox is delicious.
Was delicious. Looks like you've done everything but eat the bones.
Oh, and your vintage is superb too, Candy. Have a little formula.
No.
That's my line. What gives? You're in on something and I want to know about it.
Oh, Mallard. Believe me, it's nothing. I'm just trying to parlay a couple of hunches.
Tall hunches. Look at all those clippings on the South Seas Island Steamship Company. What are they for?
Oh, I meant to tell you, Candy, I had remarkable success down at the Chronicle. There's everything you want on the steamship line.
Oh, Rembrandt, did you have to tell the whole world?
Candy, you chide me unnecessarily. I merely had the clippings on the table when Hawkshaw here walked in on me.
Okay, Candy, take it from there. Now, come on, what gives?
Nothing makes sense yet, Mallard, so there's nothing to tell, really.
Really? How about where were you tonight?
Here and there.
I knew I should have put a man on you. Save me some grief.
2 men would be better, I think.
2 days. That's all, Mallard. Just give me 2 days to tie off about 4 loose ends, and I think I'll have it worked out.
All right, but don't forget, the boys down at Kearney Street headquarters, they don't love you the way I do. 2 days, no more, no less. I gotta go. Thanks for the foul chicken.
Here, Rembrandt. Here's $50 for you.
50? My word, what's all this talk about a recession?
Go on, take it. Go someplace and stabilize the economy. I whipped through the old newspaper clippings. It was all there. Fire at sea on Ellsworth ship. 2 seamen lost off Ellsworth ship near Honolulu. South Seas Island Line ship loses rudder and storm. On and on it went over a period of 3 years. I threw the papers back on the table, helped myself to Rembrandt's formula, turned down the lights, and went out on the porch. The bay was dark except for an occasional path of light from a passing freighter. I sat down to think, and think, and think. Then click, click. Just like that, 2 little tumblers in my mind fell into place. There was only one thing to do, and that was to do it the hard way. The next morning, just as the ferry building siren was announcing 8 o'clock to downtown San Francisco, I got Rembrandt on the phone.
Andy, what on earth are you calling me for at this hour?
Can't help it. There's work to be done.
I did my work last night. So extremely well that I'm just going to bed now.
Sorry, you'll just have to delay your sack time. Meet me at the corner of Mason and Union in 10 minutes, right where the cable car stops.
Now what are we going to do?
We're gonna take a cable car ride.
What? On one of those bouncing, junky little contraptions? Oh, not with the way I feel this morning.
Union and Mason in 10 minutes.
Ten minutes later, Candy and Rembrandt stood at the corner of Union and Mason as a cable car pulled up.
All right, Rembrandt, get on.
This is the silliest thing you've ever done, Candy.
Maybe. We'll see. Dwight Ellsworth was already on the car when I got on here, and alive.
How could you tell?
He mumbled something when I asked him to move over, and we exchanged small talk about the fire on one of his ships.
Sounds logical. Although I once remember stumbling into a corpse who...
Rembrandt was in one of his rambling moods, so I let him alone. The car pulled over Mason Street, down Washington, and then swung on to Powell and the Hill. Now I watched the buildings and apartments carefully. There was a little red brick building, now a big apartment house, a women's residence club, and so on. Then over the hill and more apartments, and the possibilities petered out at Bush. Well, only one thing to do. Canvass all those blocks between Washington and Bush. Okay, Rembrandt, off the car.
Wait, what did you say, Candy?
Off the car, come on.
Now what? I just want to go to bed.
Well, not for a long time, Boy Blue. Now here's the pitch. You take this building and I'll take the next. We'll alternate as we go along. Ask if a tall woman with a horsey face, dressed something like Queen Victoria, ever lived around here.
Oh, Candy.
I know it sounds wild, but it's got to be done.
A horse with a tall face and dressed something like...
Rembrandt, look at me. Get that smoke out of your brain. A tall woman with a horsey face and dressed something like Queen Victoria. You got it?
Got it.
Okay, get going. It was slow and tiresome, and the answers I got.
A tall gal dressed like Queen Victoria. Oh, sister.
That was about par.
No, nobody like that ever lived here.
Are you positive?
A dame who fits that description? Yeah, I'm positive.
The morning wore on, and so did we. We were over on the other side of California Street now, so we stopped and had a bite to eat. I had pickles with mine, and Rembrandt had olives on toothpicks and a glass. And again, we picked up the hunt. My heart was suddenly making with a rumba. There, just on the other side of Clay, in front of a 3-story red brick house, was a police squad car. There was a little knot of people gathered around. I walked down the block and up the front steps. I didn't have any trouble finding the room. The door was wide open and there was a body on the floor. 4 representatives of the law were buzzing back and forth. One of the buzzies was Mallard.
Well, if it isn't my little ambassador of violence. Why is it you're always around the extremely dead, Candy?
I've got no time to bandy the ad-libs, Mallard. Who is it?
Don't know yet. No identification.
Let me see.
Aha, a pen pal maybe.
I was right. I knew it.
Knew it.
You're right. He was a pen pal. He wrote me a check last night for $300. His name is Roger Ellsworth.
Very interesting. Must be open season on Ellsworths. Okay, Candy. Time you filled in the blanks. Start.
Wait a minute. I want to look at the window here. Mallard, there are a couple younger Ellsworths living around town. I'm sure you'd like to see them stay healthy.
Yeah?
Get out to 25 Dashel Road and pick up an old crone, also named Ellsworth. 5 will get you 20. She's the one you're after.
All right. But you get back to your place and stay put. I want to have a more illuminating chat with you.
Oh, Mallard, I'm just like Petty in your hands.
For once, Candy did as she was told and went back to her place to wait for Mallard, but he was late in coming. The moon was coming up over Diablo and spraying a path of silver across the bay, and still no Mallard. Candy was beginning to wonder what was wrong when her buzzer buzzed.
This was it. This was showdown.
Have you seen a tall Victorian face with a horsey-dressed woman?
Oh, Rembrandt.
Candy, I am so mad at you I could... What's the use?
Now, what's the matter?
What's the matter? What's the matter, she says. I've been rolling all over Powell Street, ringing doorbells. Where did you go, you traitor?
Rembrandt, I'm sorry. In the excitement, I forgot all about you.
What excitement?
There's been another murder.
In a moment, there's going to be another. I'm looking right at you, Candy.
Oh, cool off. Have some formula and stop snorting steam.
As Candy reached for the bottle of formula to pour Rembrandt a drink, the distinct tinkle of broken glass caught both of their attentions.
What was that?
Your window, Candy. It just shattered.
Wait a minute. That window didn't shatter by itself. Quick, turn off the lights, Rembrandt. Now duck down here.
What sort of silly games are we playing now?
This isn't a game, believe me.
Candy! Candy, are you all right?
It's the gumshoe.
Yes, I'm all right. Where are you, Mallard?
Over here. 2 houses over. We've got your girlfriend trapped on a roof somewhere nearby.
Inspector Mallard, we've lost sight of her.
Keep looking. Candy, don't move and stay covered until we get her into custody.
Not going anywhere.
There she is, sir, on that roof over there.
All right, Mrs. Ellsworth. Are you going to come down peacefully, or do we have to play cops and robbers?
I'm not coming down until I get that Candy Matson.
Have it your own way. Loosen her up a bit, boys.
Open up they did. There was a cacophony of reports as the police exchanged gunfire with Mrs. Ellsworth.
better than the 4th of July.
Keep your head down, Rembrandt.
Oh, is that what was up?
Ready to come down, Mrs. Ellsworth?
No, I'm not. That hateful woman. She's ruined all my plans with her snooping and prying. She's going to die, I tell you.
And with a last single shot, Mrs. Ellsworth was no more.
That's done it, sir.
Good job. Better call for a wagon and get that rifle under wraps.
Yes, sir. You men, come with me.
Moments later, in Candy's place, Rembrandt has a stiff pull of formula while Mallard fills in Candy on his pursuit of Mrs. Ellsworth.
It was a miracle, Candy. You must have moved just as she shot at you.
It was too close, let me tell you. She's dead?
Oh, decidedly. I think she was dead before she hit the ground.
What happened?
Well, we went out to her house just as she was driving off. We trailed her to North Beach, lost her for a block, and then we spotted her car at the top of the hill here. We arrived just as she was getting on the roof next door. Now, you tell me about your little dream.
It was that ship docking that set my wheels going around. The name Ellsworth started burning and backed somewhere. You saw the clippings Rembrandt dug up.
Yeah?
The South Seas Island steamship line was slowly being sabotaged. I did some checking and found that the insurance companies weren't going to renew.
I don't know why I didn't tie that in sooner.
It's just that you had too many things on your mind, Mallard dear.
Oh, right.
I went out to the place on Dashel Road, and when I left, I was pretty sure the old girl had knocked off her brother-in-law.
Why?
Well, for several reasons. One, she was a venomous old witch. Two, you've never seen such a collection of guns in all your life. And according to Roger Ellsworth, they both enjoyed using them. I noticed one little pop gun that was very interesting. Had a silencer on it.
Uh-huh. That was the one she used on you tonight.
And also the one she used on Dwight Ellsworth from the window of that apartment where you found her husband.
How do you know?
Go back there. You'll see a nice little bullet hole in the curtain with burned powder all around it.
Now, don't tell me.
Yes, I'm telling you that they rented that place knowing Dwight Ellsworth always went downtown on a certain cable car. She waited that morning until we were riding by, and she popped him.
I have now heard everything.
Not everything. The reason? Dwight Ellsworth, rather than fighting the insurance company, had decided to sell the steamship line to a company in New York, which played right into the saboteur's hands.
Wait, you think Mrs. Ellsworth was sabotaging the family's business?
Most definitely. With the sale of the company, both Dwight and Roger looked to make a fortune. But old Dwight had gotten cold feet and was planning to sink the rest of the family coin on saving his company. It was in that Wall Street article he was reading on the cable car. The old gal thought she'd beat him to the punch by knocking him off. The company would then fall into her husband's hands, and they would benefit from the sale.
But what about her husband?
At first, I thought he was just another weak-kneed man with an overbearing wife distraught over his brother's death. But now, I'm not so sure.
No?
No, not when I think about that phone call.
What phone call?
Oh, another little detail that slipped my mind until now.
Oh, I'll bet.
I got a phone call the day after I met with the Ellsworths in Seacliff, telling me to lay off the case. Looking back on it, that call could have only been placed by Roger Ellsworth. So despite all the boo-hoo-hoo tears, looks like he was in on it from the beginning. Then, with me poking around, they probably got nervous, and at some point, the missus no longer trusted hubby and decided she'd be better off without him.
No honor among killers.
Somehow, she lured him down to that place on Powell and gave him some lead poisoning, too, planning to inherit the whole caboodle herself. And to be sure she was safe, I was next in her sights.
But I don't get why Ellsworth would pay you to look into something that he wanted to keep hush-hush.
Well, it looked suspicious if he refused help finding his brother's killer, and I don't think he planned on me living long enough to figure the scheme out or cash the check. Then he cashed out first, thanks to his wife, who saved me some trouble.
Trouble?
If she hadn't killed him, I was going to.
What? Why?
While I was waiting for you to get here, I got a call. It was Uncle Charlie at the chase room. Roger Ellsworth's check bounced like a brand new golf ball. What's so funny, Mallard?
Join us next time for the adventures of Candy Matson, Girl Sucker.
Hey, that's my line. Stay tuned for another adventure of Candy Matson as she tackles the curious case of Jack Frost. Don't touch that dial.
Since 1958, Hollywood Gardens has been offering folks a place to escape and relax. And in recent years, Hollywood Gardens has offered the latest in craft beer. You can order from their draft beer specials or take a walk into the beer cave where you can select your favorite bottle of craft beer. Pair your beverage with a meal or appetizer from the chef's featured menu. Hot and hearty homemade soups and loaded mac and cheese are just a couple of items that keep the patrons coming back for more. Hollywood Gardens is located at 169 Kinney Street in Rochester, 724-728-2227. Stop by this evening or visit their website at www.hollywoodgardensbar.com.
Hey, Pierre! Fancy meeting you here at Canine Kingdom.
Woof, ma chérie, woof. You know that to me, luxury is life.
Is this the first time you have been here?
Oh no, mon ami. I am here all the time. The accommodations are perfect. The staff perfect. The food, oh la la. And twice a day, woof.
No way! I heard you can run around in their cages too. Plus, you get personalized tuck-in service when you stay the night.
Exactement. So many amenities here at Canine Kingdom. Nap time, pampering, and even salon services. I love it.
I'm going to tell all my friends to schedule a service and an interview online or in person at 723 State Avenue, Vanport, PA. Or they can call 878-201-3533.
Canine Kingdom, because this place is très majesty. Woof!
The gift-giving season is upon us. Are you in the market for a unique handmade gift crafted by a local artist? Or perhaps you'd like to try your hand at making your own special something? Well, there's one place you can go for both. Stray Cat Studio in downtown Beaver Falls is one half gift shop and one half pottery studio. Their gift shop is run by artists for artists and is home to some of the most beautiful pieces of art, crafts, and treasures you'll find anywhere. Their studio offers classes where you can arrange a small project of your own and explore your own creativity in clay. With just a little time and commitment, you can make your own handmade creation. The mission of the Stray Cat Studio is to offer beauty to the community as a tool for helpfulness and restoration. You can support local businesses, local artists, and the community as a whole. So let loose the creative cat in you. Stray on in or check them out at straycatarts.com. Visit them at 507 7th Avenue, Beaver Falls, or call them at 724-494-9347. Remember, the cool cats go to Stray Cat Studio. Meow!
Yukon 28209. Yes, this is Candy Matson.
Welcome back to our program. Up next, RACT Theater Productions presents Candy Matson in The Curious Case of Jack Frost. It's the holiday season, and Candy is out at her favorite department store, perusing the goods, cruising the perfume department, and trying on the latest fashions when she runs into an old friend.
Candy! Candy! Over here!
What? Why, Myra Fisher. What are you doing here in a department store with your work clothes on?
I work here, dear. I'm a wage slave.
Well, I must say, on you it looks good. What do you slave at?
I'm head of advertising and promotion.
Oh, quite a spot, eh, girl?
Well, it was until this morning.
Oh?
Now I've got my neck in the fire.
What did you do? Forget to proofread one of your ads?
Nothing so trivial, dear, believe me. But am I glad to have bumped into you?
Maybe you'll change your mind when I tell you I've been shoplifting.
No, I'm serious, Candy. Could you spare a moment and come on up to my office?
Why, sure. And wipe that frown from off your brow. It's wrinkling your makeup.
Well, yours would wrinkle too if you had a missing Santa Claus helper on your hands.
Well, well. Now there's a situation. And it almost broke Candy Matson's heart when someone told her there was no Santa Claus's helper, one Jack Frost. Listen, here she is now to tell you about it.
That's right, what the woman said. I ran into a deal where we had a missing Santa Claus helper, Jack Frost. The gent with the icicles was supposed to talk to the tiny tots at Brownstone, one of San Francisco's larger and classier department stores. I'd gone down there that afternoon shopping. I wanted a bow tie from my old pal, Inspector Ray Mallard of the San Francisco Police Department. A bow tie that lit up and spelled Cossack when you pressed the button on the battery. That was when I bumped into this gal, Myra Fisher. We went up to her office on the 6th floor, and she sat me down.
You think I'm fooling about this Jack Frost thing, don't you, Candy?
Well, now look, dear, we all have our little peccadillos. Yours just merely happens to be a missing Jack Frost. You'll get over it.
I refrain from hurling this paperweight at you, Candy, only because of our long acquaintance.
Good.
Now listen to me. We've had a Santa Claus helper here for almost a month, and a darn good one. The kids were crazy about him. This morning, he didn't show.
You don't suppose Jackie Boy got in the mood and caught the Christmas spirit, do you? The kind that comes in pint?
No, he wasn't that sort of Joe.
Well, your answer's simple. Hire a new one.
They're hired through an agency. I called the one we do business with, and they're fresh out of Jack Frost. And I've got to get one, Candy. Otherwise, I come down about 10 notches in the opinion of the brass.
I don't want you to think I'm unsympathetic, Myra, but what can I do?
Well, you get around. You know people. Find me somebody, anybody, who'll take over the job of being Jack Frost.
Well, okay, I'll do the best I can, Myra.
Candy, you're a dear.
Yeah, one of Santa's reindeer. Okay, I'll try and find you a Jack Frost, Myra, but don't hold it against me if he turns out to look more like Humpty Dumpty. I went home and looked up the Webster definition of soft. It said, soft, easily yielding to pressure. That was me, Candy Matson, girl dope. Here I had all my Christmas shopping to do, and I agreed to find a substitute Jack Frost. I had no idea where to start, so I changed into something red and green for a stop and go, also for Christmas, and went over to see my friendly advisor, Rembrandt Watson. Rembrandt is a photographer, and excellent too, when he doesn't have the sherry shivers or the port palsies. He lives on California Street, just kitten rompers from Old St. Mary's, with a statue of Sun Yat-sen for company in the park next door.
Candy Dove! How delightful! Hey, come on in, won't you?
Thanks, Rembrandt.
Oh, Pet, you're acquainted with my friend Diogenes Murphy, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Hello again, Mr. Murphy.
Why, good afternoon, lass. You look even prettier than the last time I saw you.
Uh-oh, here comes the blarney.
Young lady. Diogenes Murphy, the honest Irishman, never says the word he doesn't mean. How do you think I managed to sell so many used cars in a place on Vanessa Avenue?
Because you're an honest Irishman.
Ah, but you're so right, lass. Incidentally, if you need a good car, I can get you one at a very reasonable...
Diogenes.
Oh, sorry, I got carried away.
I didn't mean to barge in on you like this, Rembrandt.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, dear.
No, don't be. Think nothing of it, lass. I'm on my way now. Rembrandt and I were only discussing the situation at the wharf.
And to what conclusion did you come?
It stinks. Well, bottom of the afternoon to both of you.
Oh, he is quite a boy.
Oh, yes, I'm very fond of Diogenes. What brings you around this way, dear?
Jack Frost.
Ah, yes. Well, now getting on with our conversation. What brings you around this way, dear?
Jack Frost.
Maybe the needle is bad. Shall we try again?
I know how you feel. I reacted the same way myself. I'll give you the pocket-sized edition. The Brownstone department store is without a Santa Claus helper, Jack Frost. He didn't show up for work this morning, and I said I'd find them a new one.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Dove.
Very dumb of me, Dove. I know of only one character who even remotely looks like Jack Frost. I met him up in Alaska when I was traveling with the USO.
Won't do you much good down here, will he?
No. That's why I came to see you, Rembrandt. Don't you keep a cross file on models you've used in photography?
As a matter of fact, I do. Here in this little book. Oh, let's see. Men who look like Jack Frost. I have just one. Pietro Tarantello. Would you care for a Sicilian Jack Frost?
In Sicily, yes. Hey, what's that?
Where?
On that chair next to you.
Oh, that's the afternoon paper, dear. Diogenes left it, I imagine.
Yes, but on the front page. Why, here's the whole story about the missing Jack Frost on the front page. What he got in his Christmas stocking. A slug through the head.
Well, that's no way to treat Jack Frost.
Here's a picture of the guy without his false icicles.
Oh, what a ham. Looks like he stepped right out of an 1890 Shakespearean play.
I hate to say this, Rembrandt, but he resembles you.
I take back what I said.
Rembrandt.
Divorce yourself from that tone of voice, Candy. I don't like it.
Rembrandt, I've got an idea.
You usually do.
You like little children?
Can't stand them.
You like to talk to people?
I abhor conversation.
You like to be charming?
Lost me charm.
Joyful?
It's with me charm.
With the help of a few icicles, Ducky, you're gonna be Jack Frost.
Rembrandt fought. He argued. He paced the floor. He had the vapors. He fainted. Candy brought him to. In the end, Candy won the argument.
I got my friend Myra Fisher on the phone and informed her that one R. Watson would assume the role of Jolly Jack Frost on the morrow. She was delighted. I couldn't say the same for Rembrandt. Then I went home. I was greeted by a sound very much like that of a phone ringing. Using my keen instincts, I figured it was the phone. It was. Hello, Candy Matson, Yukon 28209.
How do you do, Miss Matson? Please allow me to introduce myself.
Aloud.
Yes, my name is Burke, Prentice Burke. I'm the first assistant vice president of the Brownstone.
Brownstone? Oh, Yes, that's a store of some kind, isn't it?
Yes. Well, now the reason for my call. There has been, shall I say, a rather unfortunate occurrence in our store today.
So I read.
I need the help of a professional sleuth. You were highly recommended by the head of our advertising department, Miss Myra Fisher.
Aha, the thick plottins.
Beg your pardon?
Oh, no need to. You didn't do anything. Okay, care to talk to me now, Mr. Burke?
Oh, no. I'd much rather you come down to our office, Miss Matson. This is a matter of an extremely confidential nature.
I'm your girl, then, figuratively speaking. How long will you be there?
As long as necessary. That's up to you.
Very well. I'll be there in half an hour, if I can find a place to park. I only had time for a fast change, so I made it, from indiscreet to taboo. I sniffed at it and felt I was on the right scent. Then I climbed in my car, drove down Kearny Street, waved a crisp single under the nose of a hotel doorman, and had my car taken care of. Then into the brownstone and up to Mr. Prentice Burke's office. I flipped a hip past the girl's secretary and walked on in. Burke was waiting for me. That was obvious. I could tell by the expression on his face. It was worried look number 12B. How do you do, Mr. Burke? I'm Candy Matson.
Sit down, won't you?
Thank you. Now, our subject is what?
A man named Jordan, Ralph Jordan to be exact.
Well, that's a relief. For a moment, I thought you wanted to talk about Jack Frost.
Well, that's just it. He was Jack Frost.
Oh, me and my big mouth.
He was working here up until yesterday afternoon. Maybe you read about it. He was found shot today.
Yes, I read about it.
Well, that's the reason I called you.
Why didn't you have your own store detectives take over, Mr. Burke?
No, that would never do. I want no one in the store to know what's going on.
Ah, intrigue.
Quite possibly. I have reason to suspect that Jordan was killed by someone in our employ. And I want to find out who that someone was before the police do and have it splashed all over the front pages.
Publicity conscious, eh?
Well, business has been off for a whole year now, and any bad breaks in the press would hurt us that much more.
Maybe you've got a point there. I don't know.
No, I have.
Okay, I'll take the job. You say you have a suspicion. What is it?
Nothing tangible. It's just a feeling I have.
Oh, that's a big help. Well, I'll mush around and see what I can pick up. I'll bill you tomorrow for my first day's work. It's much easier to sustain a friendship on a daily basis. I left Burke looking as though someone had just called his store a bazaar. It was closing time, so I hefted my way through the crush and retrieved my car from the doorman. The Hall of Justice is right on my way home, so I decided to drop in my old pal Mallard, Inspector Ray Mallard of the San Francisco Homicide. A nice guy to serve coffee to on Sunday mornings, if you could ever lasso him. I could never get strong enough rope.
Candy, what brings you around here?
I hate to have my Christmas ruined so early. What about that Jack Frost character?
Oh yeah, poor guy got it good.
Where'd you find him?
In his apartment over on 17th. He lived near the stadium where the Seals play baseball. Why so interested, Candy?
Rembrandt's a dead ringer for the guy.
I still don't get the
The gal who's head of advertising for the Brownstone was going out of her head for another Jack Frost. I talked Rembrandt into taking the job.
Ha!
Does sound funny, doesn't it? Bring me up to date, Mallard. Did you get any dope on the killing?
Nothing but a .45 slug dug out of the wall. Ballistics is checking it now.
Nothing else?
If I did, I should tell you.
No, I guess not.
This goes beyond normal curiosity, Candy. What are you drilling for?
Oh, only that I'm worried about Rembrandt. I got him the job. I'm responsible. I wouldn't want anything to happen to him.
Ask a silly question, Mallard. Get a silly answer. Okay, forget it. Hey, how about dinner tonight?
I fought this thing long enough. Okay.
Candy.
Yes, Mallard?
We've known each other a good long time, haven't we?
That's right. Ever since the fair on Treasure Island.
We've had our little quarrels, little misunderstandings.
Oh, but they never seem to last long, though, do they?
No, that's right. That's why I feel I have every right to ask you a question.
Why, yes. I'd say you do, Mallard.
Maybe I'll ask you tonight.
No, go ahead. Now's as good a time as any.
Perhaps it is, Candy.
Hmm?
You get around a lot. You meet people. Do you know where I can get a couple of tickets to the Rose Bowl game?
My brain lit up like a Roman candle. I stormed for the door, turned back, stood there, my jaw waggling helplessly. Then I stuck my tongue out at Mallard and left. It was the only thing I could think of doing. Oh, he can make me so mad. But inside half an hour after I got home, I started to laugh. Felt much better.
Candy Matson will return after these messages from our sponsors.
Rochester Community Heart and Soul is underway in Rochester Borough. The Heart and Soul program is a process developed by the Orton Family Foundation that focuses on listening to those who live, work, and play in the community to find key community values. This proven process strengthens relationships between neighbors, government, and businesses, and creates a greater sense of community pride. For instance, in nearby Meadville, Pennsylvania, the leadership team created the community organization My Meadville to execute its community action plan. As part of the plan, residents crowdfunded a new coffee shop and created a lounge for teens to socialize and support one another. Rochester Borough has received a $50,000 grant from Pennsylvania Humanities Council and the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development to execute the Heart and Soul process. These funds will help propel the project forward and ensure its sustainability over the next 2 years. To learn more about Rochester Community Heart and Soul and to join our mailing list, visit our website, rochesterheartandsoul.org. You can also find us on Facebook. For more information, email our team at rochesterheartandsoul@gmail.com or call the borough office at 724-775-1200.
Gunnar, it's me, Ragnar. I did not expect to see you here.
Ragnar! Well met, brother. Sit down, have a glass of mead.
Mead?
You must have hit your head harder than I thought. Mead, my good man, is honey wine, the drink of the Vikings, sweet nectar from the gods.
I know what mead is, Gunnar, but this hall, it's not what I expected.
What do you mean?
I expected it to be much larger, with a host of warriors drinking with the gods. Is that Odin over there? Thought he'd be bigger and less furry.
Him? No, that's Fluffy Thorgrimson. He is the most feared Viking cat in the Beaver Valley. He saved your life, pulled you out of that burning longhouse you had been pillaging. If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Pillage, then burn.
Wait, I'm not dead?
No!
But if this is not Valhalla, where am I?
This is the mead hall at Fitzgibbon Meadery, the first and only meadery in Elwood City. Here a Viking can stock up on all of his or her favorite craft meads and country wines. They've got plenty of flavors to choose from. My favorite is Cordelia, a sweet spiced mead that reminds me of the chai teas we pillaged from the East.
I've heard of this place. It's at 536 Lawrence Avenue in Elwood City, across from the municipal building.
Yes, very true. Also, you can find them online at fitzgibbonmead.com or call them at 724-201-9694. Where are you going right now?
I need to thank Fluffy for saving my life.
Ooh, I wouldn't do that right now. He gets a little cranky if he hasn't had his afternoon nap.
Well then, let's have another round. As Fluffy would say, more mead, right meow.
As Candy puttered around getting ready, there was a buzz at the door. Could it be Mallard? It was much too early for dinner.
Well, Myra, what a surprise. Do come in, won't you?
No thanks, Candy. A friend of mine's waiting outside in his car. He's driving me home.
Oh, I'm sorry you can't stay for a moment.
So am I, dear. I just dropped by to leave this, merely a little token of thanks for getting me off the hook.
Well, Myra, there wasn't any need to do that.
Just a few pair of stockings, dear. Getting me my new Jack Frost means more than you know. Here, please take them, along with my very deepest thanks.
Well, thanks so much. A girl can always use them. Are you all set with my friend, Mr. Watson?
Oh, yes. He came in this afternoon and filled out his withholding tax and so on. Very nice.
I think you'll find him very efficient, Myra.
Oh!
What's the matter?
Oh, pardon me. I didn't mean to frighten you.
Oh, Mallard.
Whew! Silly of me. I must have jumped a foot.
Oh, that's all right. He frightens me too, Myra. I'd like to have you meet Inspector Mallard. Inspector, Miss Fisher.
How do you do?
Well, fine, thank you. Now that I've caught my breath. Do forgive me, Candy, but I must rush. See you soon, I hope.
Tomorrow, Myra. I'll be down to see how my lad's doing as Jack Frost. Thanks for the stockings.
Well, aren't you going to invite me in?
No, I'm not. Here's my coat right here. Come on, let's go. I'm starved.
I thought we could have a cocktail before we left.
You thought wrong. 2 tickets to the Rose Bowl. From now on, you earn your cocktails, Mallard.
So, downstairs they went, and as Candy was locking her door, a car was just driving off. It was Myra, and she waved. And driving, if her tired old eyes hadn't deceived her, was Mr. Prentice Burke, Vice President of the Brownstone.
Well, I'll be. Oh well. Mallard and I climbed into the car and drove out to the Cliff House. It was that kind of an evening. We had dinner, and after, I suggested we walk a bit. The night was crisp and clear, and the evening star was hanging out above the dark waters of the Pacific like an iridescent Japanese lantern. It cut across a little road above Sutro Baths, where an old car barn had once stood, and worked its way over the cliffs and stood high above Land's End. It was exhilarating.
Penny for your thoughts, Candy.
A penny? With this inflation?
All right, make it 2 pennies.
I was just thinking, Mallard dear. When you see a star in the sky, soft water below, feel Christmas in the air, how can there be violence in the world?
An age-old question. One I can't answer. I'm too small. Hey, you're cold. Let me put my arm around you.
Mallard, no.
What's the matter?
The headlights from that automobile are shining right down on us, and we... Mallard!
Candy, what's wrong?
Got your flashlight with you?
Sure, and also my gun and my handcuffs. Need anything else? A mortar, maybe?
The lights from that car, they shone on something. Down there under that tree.
Candy, for once, can't you just stop digging up a mystery? Be human.
I am being human. Come on, Mallard, I want to see what's under that tree.
Without a moment's hesitation, Candy was off. They scrambled around and through the brush, slipped onto some sliding sand, and rode the crest down to the tree.
It wasn't easy to get around some of those brambles, but get there I fully intended doing, because what I saw was red. Bright red.
You okay, Candy?
Nothing that a new pair of nylons won't fix. Shoot the flashlight over this way a bit, Mallard. There, that's it. Now, do you think I'm dreaming things up?
What is it?
Wait till I hold it up.
Well, that looks like some kind of costume.
Right. And look, if those aren't bloodstains, I'm a Labrador Retriever.
No, you're Candy Matson. Those are bloodstains.
How was your boy dressed when you found him?
Torn slacks, sweater, shoes, no socks.
This was most likely his costume then.
Yeah. Don't move around too much, Candy. I want to have a good look at the ground.
Hey, what are you doing down there?
Who's that?
The police. Now get up here and don't try any tricks.
That's all right, officer. This is Inspector Mallard, homicide.
Oh, sorry. Didn't recognize you, Inspector.
That's all right. Stay right where you are. We'll be right up. Well, this is sure a break, Candy. I want you to drive me to a phone. I'll leave the officer here to guard the place. You can go home. I've got some work to do, all right?
Yeah, sure. Well, for once we had dinner before you had a chance to break the date. This baby was hard to reconstruct. Was the guy knocked off out there at Land's End? Or was he bumped off at his apartment, the killer driving way out to the beach and hiding the costume? Only time would tell. I went home, climbed into bed, and logged about 8 hours, enough to give me fuel for the next day. In the morning, I went down to the brownstone. The shoppers were already swarming through the place. I spotted a floor walker and strolled over to him. Pardon me, sir. I said, pardon me, sir.
I'm very busy, young lady. Make it as brief as possible.
You do work here, don't you?
Of course.
You are the floor walker assigned to this section?
That is correct. Come to the point, please.
Of all the... I have a good mind to report you.
As you wish. As I said, I'm very busy. Now, what is it you wanted to know?
The words are like gall in my mouth now, but where do I find Jack Frost?
Right over there, in the back, 2 aisles over.
Thank you.
Not at all.
Very much. Of all the high-handed characters, people like that make me steam. I was getting up a full head of dander, but it simmered out before I had a chance to boil over, because as I rounded a corner, I saw Frosty Boy, or Rembrandt if you choose, up on his platform with the cutest little blonde kid sitting in his lap.
Well, look who we have here. Great big boy. Hello there, son.
Hello, Jack Frost.
And what is your name?
Topper.
Topper. Well, that's a fine name. How old are you, Topper?
5.5.
5.5. Huh? Well, you must go to school. Which one?
Garfield.
Oh, Garfield. Well, that's a good school. Now tell me, what would you like to have me tell Santa Claus to bring you for Christmas, Topper?
An electric train, and a baseball bat, and I'd like to play second base for the Seals and for Lefty O'Doul.
Well, I'll see if I can arrange that, Topper. I'll tell Santa Claus. Bye now.
Goodbye, and thank you, and Merry Christmas!
I hope you can make that boy's wish come true. O'Doul could use a good second baseman.
Candy, I'm so glad you're here, Dove. Duck around the corner into the back room for a moment. I've got to talk to you.
Aren't you working, Frosty Boy?
I get 10 minutes off every hour. I'll take the break now. Right around there, Candy.
Okay, I'll see you in a moment.
A few moments later, in the brownstone break room.
What's the matter, Rembrandt? Even under those icicles, you look warm under the collar.
Here, look at this. Every now and then, one of these moppets toddles up to me and hands me a Christmas letter. A little red-headed girl handed me this about a half an hour ago. I've been shaking ever since.
Let me see. Dear Jack Frost, a word to the wise is sufficient. When you take your lunch hour, keep on going. Don't come back, otherwise you'll meet the same fate as your predecessor. Just about as I expected.
Candy! You mean to say that you're deliberately using me as a sacrificial lamb?
By no means, Ducky. Go ahead, take your lunch. Then do as the note says, keep on going. As a matter of fact, why don't you take off now? I'll meet you at your place in about an hour.
That's the best news I've heard since Nelson's victory at Trafalgar.
I whipped upstairs, reported Prentice Burke, got my first day's check, and on my way out, told his secretary she'd better get Burke some smelling salts. Then I went back down on the floor again. Sure enough, there was my boy, the floor walker. I wanted to have a few more words with him.
Oh, you again.
If you don't mind. I was just up to see Miss Myra Fisher. She wasn't in. Have you seen her down here?
No. And what's more, I won't see her all day. She phoned saying she was feeling ill. Most inconsiderate, I must say, during the holiday rush.
Yes, I must say. Could you give me her address? She's a friend of mine. I've got to see her.
Her address? Why, yes. I'll write it down here on one of my cards. Myra Fisher, 227F, Union Street. There.
Thank you. You're so kind.
Not at all.
I had all the ammunition I wanted, a check signed by Burke, and a card written by the floor walker. His name was Simon Liggett. With that, I ducked into a phone booth and called Mallard.
Homicide, Mallard speaking.
Good boy. This is Candy. What did you find out at Land's End last night?
A couple of very juicy footprints that give us nothing.
Did you make casts of any of them?
Why, sure.
Mind if I borrow a couple of them for a few hours, Mallard?
Well, I don't see how it could hurt. Sure, okay.
Thanks, Mallard dear. I'll be by in a moment, and I want to borrow you, too.
Candy stopped by the police station, got the cast of the footprints, shoved Mallard into the car, and then picked up Rembrandt.
The thing was only a hunch, but my hunches have paid off, so I never ignore them. First, we went to an address on 5th Avenue near Clement. We got in the back door and went to work. Nothing made sense there, so we drove over to Reseda Way in the marina. Again, we got in and did some sleuthing. This time, we hit the jackpot. A pair of shoes in the closet matched the cast we had brought with us. Rembrandt, go out in the kitchen and see if this place has any ketchup, huh?
I'm not hungry, Dove, but I'll look.
What are you up to, Candy? We've got enough to swing a case here.
I'm working for a voluntary confession, Mallard. Tell me, what was the position that Jack Frost was in when you found him dead?
In a chair like that one, his head slumped down on his chest.
Good.
Here's the catsup, Dove. What are you putting it on?
You.
What?
Without the bun or relish, Ducky. Sit down there, will you, Rembrandt? Now, just go limp and let your head hang down. That's it. Now for a little seasoning.
Candy, you're smearing me with this sticky stuff.
And all for the sake of art. Hold still. There. How does he look, Mallard?
Why, of all the... Candy, it looks like the same guy, the real thing.
Good. Now, Rembrandt, you just sit like that. Don't move. Mallard, you duck into that closet over there and I'll hide in here. We've got a good view of the front door from both places, okay?
Okay. There are times, Candy, when I admit I admire your genius.
Genius. Come on, let's hide.
The golden shafts of sun splashed in through the window from the ocean, slowly turning pink, then purple, then into twilight. The minutes ticked on.
Bless you. But quiet though, Rembrandt. You'll muss up your ketchup.
5 minutes. 10. Then they heard muffled footsteps coming down the hall and a key inserted in the lock of the apartment door.
No. Oh, no, it can't be. The old fool I killed. No.
Okay, buddy, that'll be about enough.
Oh, no.
Get him, Mallard. He's ducking.
I'll get him.
Oh, no.
With a bit of a struggle, Inspector Mallard managed to corral the panicked Liggett, but not before breaking some glass and making a mess of the furniture.
Nice tackle, Mallard.
All right, Mac. You gonna remain peaceful, or do I need to give you a little tap?
No. Be quiet. You got me. I did it. I did the both of them. I killed them. I killed both of them.
Both of them?
Yeah. Look behind the sofa. The sofa. The girl and that Jack Frost. The sofa.
The sofa? Wait a minute, Mallard. Oh, Mallard.
More trouble, Candy.
Yes. An old friend of mine. The late Myra Fisher. The whole thing was jealousy. Not the jealousy of a man for a woman, but the jealousy of a man for her job. Simon Liggett had been with the Brownstone for almost 20 years. He'd worked himself up from the stock boy to a place where he'd been promised the job of head of advertising and promotion. He almost got it. Except at the last moment, Prentice Burke gave the position to Myra Fisher. That had only been 2 weeks before. He knew that Myra was on a probationary term, so he did everything he could to undermine her. Little things like changing ad copy, sending out false stories to newspapers. He figured that if he could keep the store without a Santa Claus helper, he'd break Myra's back and get the job by the first of the year. He paid a visit to the first Jack Frost and tried to bribe him into quitting, but the guy would have none of it. There was a struggle. Liggett lost his head and whipped out a gun and shot him. He was still in costume, so Liggett stripped him, put some old clothes on him, drove out to Land's End and ditched his costume. Then he felt sure there would be no Jack Frost the next day, but that's when Myra met me, and I talked Rembrandt into taking over. By this time, Liggett was in a frenzy and would stop at nothing. He trailed Myra and Burke to Myra's home, killed her, took her body over to his place, and dished it behind the sofa. The next morning, he wrote a note to Rembrandt and gave it to one of the little girls waiting in line to see him. Fear and envy were taking their toll on the poor guy's mind. I wanted to compare the handwriting, so I had Burke write me a check and Liggett write Myra's address on a card. Also, we had the footprint cast. Between the two, everything pointed toward Liggett. That's when I staged my little parlor charade with Rembrandt playing the part of a corpse. The sight, with Rembrandt's resemblance to the dead Jack Frost, would shatter anybody into a confession. But Christmas, in spite of everything, is a lovely time of year, and there is a Santa Claus. 3 of them for me, as a matter of fact. Mr. Prentice Burke, who sent me a very nice check for my efforts, Rembrandt Watson, who, out of sheer love for the job, went back to playing Jack Frost for all the kids at the brownstone, and last but not least, Inspector Ray Mallard. He gave me a Christmas sock, right on my mouth, where any well-placed Christmas sock should go.
Join us next time for more excitement and adventure. Just dial
Candy Matson, and a Merry Christmas to you all. Yukon 28209.
Appearing tonight were Danielle Lang as Valerie Ellsworth, Scott Reinard as Roger Ellsworth and Diogenes Murphy, Bruce E. Travers as Dwight Ellsworth and Prentice Burke, Jenny Egley as Myra Fisher, Gabriel Gryffn as the police officer, Campbell, and Simon Liggett, and Amelia Kovach as the cable car driver, the barkeep, and topper. Dave Joseph plays the part of Rembrandt Watson, and Tom Smithyman is heard as Inspector Mallard. The program stars Kerry Benson as Candy. The characters in tonight's story are entirely fictitious. Any resemblance to actual people is purely coincidental. The program came to you from RACT Theater Productions and was directed and edited by Eric J. McAnallen and produced by Beverly Dicken. This is Jane Lyons speaking. Good night and Merry Christmas.